What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about how shorter wide receivers can stand out to coaches and be a more successful overall player. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it can teach you a few new things about the wide receiver position. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like to train with us this off season, we are going to be traveling out to 13 or 12 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Charlotte, North Carolina. That camp is completely sold out, but then we'll be coming out to Dallas, Texas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities, would like to get some work in with us for 2 whole days of training, 8 hours total, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have some of you from our YouTube community out to the camp. We appreciate all the support. Let's get started with this video. So now, number one thing when you are a shorter wide receiver is that you have to be fast and you have to be explosive. If you want to stand out to a college coach, you want to stand out to your high school coach, you need to have speed on your side, right? So I'm going to say this right now. Being a shorter wide receiver is tough. You go up against physical DBs, you go up against DBs who are bigger than us, linebackers, strong safeties. Those are usually the more common ones because where do they put the shorter guys? They put them in the slot. So you got to have speed to your advantage. If you are short and you are slow, it is going to be very, very tough for you to play at the next level. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but when you look at all the best short guys in the NFL, every one of them, they all bring something to the table when it comes to speed. You know, you look at Tyreek Hill. Like I remember I did a training camp with Tyreek Hill maybe about 2 years ago. He did some kind of training camp in Irvine, right? And he is not a very big guy. This is Jalen Darden here too, by the way, who is a wide receiver who's drafted a couple years back. He's only 5'8". Tyreek Hill is probably 5'9", right? But he is obviously one of the fastest players in the league. You got to have some kind of speed element working for you because that's the only way that you're going to be able to compete. So we look at this example here from Darden. He's working this move. He catches the ball. He's got great yards after the contact, yards after catch, making people miss. This is something that they want to see from shorter guys on film. If you're a high school guy, maybe you haven't started varsity yet. Maybe you're, trying to play varsity ball. You're trying to stand up to your high school coach. You need to work on your speed this offseason. And now I'm going to give you some exercises that you can do to improve your speed because I'm not just going to sit here and tell you, hey, get faster. I want to actually help you out and tell you what you can do to get faster because that's what it's going to take. On film, a college coach wants a playmaker. If he sees that you're undersized, you don't pass that quote-unquote eye test, right? So if you don't pass the eye test, how are you going to stand out to him? Your speed, your explosiveness. And I think that is more important, in my opinion, than height. If I got a receiver who's 6'4", but, he runs average routes, he's not very fast, he doesn't really bring anything to the table but size, but I got a guy who's got a ton of speed, a ton of explosion, he catches the ball and he's just like lightning in a bottle, that's who I want on my team personally. So this right here is a wide receiver. I believe he is a UAB commit. I'm not 100% sure, but this is a clip off of Twitter from him and his trainer. And what he's doing is he's doing sled sprints. Now, a lot of you want to get faster, right? But you're, whether you live in in Minnesota, whether you live in some place like Michigan where it snows all the time, maybe you're not able to get outside. Fellas, you don't need a lot of space to get faster. You maybe need a space of maybe this is 20 yards, maybe less than that. And he's pulling a sled running, working on his explosiveness, working on getting off the ball fast, running with sleds, running with some kind of resistance, running upstairs, running up a hill. All of those things can help you get faster when you are maybe limited on space. Now, let's say maybe you don't have 20 yards. Let's say maybe you're confined to your room, you're confined to your garage, and you still want to get faster. You need to focus on building fast twitch muscle fibers in your body. Now, what are fast twitch fibers? Everybody's got muscle fibers in their body. You have fast twitch type A, fast twitch type B, right? Excuse me. Fast twitch A, fast twitch B. Fast twitch A is what we want to develop as a football player because that's that quick twitch, that all-out effort. And then you have slow twitch fibers. So there are a lot of guys, they're training for football in the offseason and they're not getting faster because they're doing the wrong things. They go out and they run, but they're running distance. They're running miles upon miles upon miles. Guys, we're not soccer players. We're football players. We are trying to be explosive. We're trying to be able to generate all-out explosiveness every single snap of the ball. That ball's in my hands. I'm trying to hit a corner and go, especially as a shorter guy. And I need some explosion to do that. So this is an example of the same wide receiver. What is he doing? He's doing something called box jumps. So box jumps is a great exercise to work on that explosive and fast twitch. You got to do all-out effort to be able to jump on top of a box. You're activating your fast twitch A fibers to be able to explode. Now, And listen, this will help you not only with your speed, but this will help you with your cuts. This will help you with your route running. And does it look like he needs a lot of space for this? No. And you could get creative with it. You could maybe do box jumps on 1 foot. You could do box jumps on 2 feet. You could do like a broad jump into a box jump. Just anything that's going to work on that all-out effort explosion. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to do box jumps rapid fire, because that's going to be working on your slow twitch. You want to stay in that rep range, maybe about 6 to 8 reps, and focus on generating all-out effort every single time you explode up. So, fellas, the whole reason I talk about this is if you're a shorter wide receiver, you're not a big guy, guys, your speed is so, so important. Those guys would not be able to do it. Those 5'8" guys like Jalen Darden, like I showed you, Tyreek Hill. I met the guy in person. He's not a big dude. And I'm not a big guy either. I'm not trying to say that I am. But when you look at us from like if we look from the waist up, me and him are the same exact size, me and Tyreek Hill. You look from the waist down, his legs probably triple the size of mine. And if we raced, he would probably beat me by 10 yards. That's what it takes. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Now, do you need to be Tyreek Hill level speed? No. If your goal is just to play college football, you don't care what level it is, you just want to get to the next level, I highly, highly recommend you do whatever possible to improve your speed. It is very, very tough to get noticed as a short guy, but that's what this whole point of this video is. So improving your speed is the first way that's going to help you get more looks as a shorter guy. Now, what are some other things that you can do? And that's what we're going to be discussing now. We're going to be looking at a couple routes here from Julian Edelman. So Julian Edelman is probably one of the smartest wide receivers to play the game. He's got an incredibly high football IQ. He was an ex-quarterback. That always helps understanding defenses, understanding why defenses do certain things. But that is what it takes as a shorter guy. To be able to get separation, especially against bigger physical DBs, you cannot have bad football IQ and sacrifice spacing, sacrifice timing, because you just can't get off a press or understand how to beat a defensive look. So let's look at this route from Edelman. He's running a deep out route versus outside shade, kind of like catch technique coverage. So this is a textbook route. This is extremely high football IQ route because he's running an out route, right? A lot of people will think, and a lot of wide receiver coaches who don't know what they're talking about will say anytime that you are running an out route, a corner route, a comeback, there's an exception, I would say, a fade route, anything outside, you got to take an outside release. Now, that's where it's a problem for the undersized guys. Because when a DB is lined up and he's lined up at outside leverage, like press, outside shade catch technique, his sole responsibility when he's outside leverage is to protect the outside. Don't let the wide receiver run the out route, the corner. Force him to the inside because that's where you have help. So if we try to come up to this DB, give him a fake inside and force the outside release, that's when he starts getting physical. And as a shorter guy, trying to hand fight a bigger dude, that's not my game. That's not how I get separation. And that's why we need football IQ. We have to understand how defense is going to play me so I can correctly structure my routes. So that's what Edelman does here. Watch it. He takes the inside release. And now you see how he gives this little stutter fake. That is essentially just to attack the leverage of the DB and try to threaten him with maybe like a quick slip under move, like a throw by move, just something to get him to hesitate. So then Edelman can work to restack over the top. Because now he kept timing with the quarterback because he didn't have to hand fight with the guy who's bigger, a guy who's stronger. And when he gets to the top of the route and he's able to restack, look at all the space he gave the quarterback to throw him open. Fellas, not to mention that it's going to take forever, and this guy's probably stronger than me, so I won't be able to do it when forcing an outside release. I cut down the space. Let's say maybe I get him, but when I break to that out route, he's going to be right on my inside hip, and I'm not going to have any space to the sideline. So we have to get comfortable taking the inside release, not only for timing, not only for spacing, but because that's not my game as a shorter guy. Me forcing releases, me trying to get in these hand battles, that is not my game. Understand leverage, understand how to threaten a DB's leverage, and how you can get separation on every route, regardless if it's an inside release or an outside release. That's what football IQ is. So let's watch this clip here from Edelman. Do you have to do this type of release? No. Off the line, you could honestly run at the DB and attack his leverage that way, but be comfortable taking that inside release. Okay, so now we're looking at a clip here from Scotty Miller. Now, Scotty Miller, another perfect example. Short guy, very, very fast. Not the biggest dude in the world, but obviously he's playing on Sunday, so he's doing something correct. What is he doing that a lot of shorter guys aren't doing? And again, like I said, I don't think Scotty Miller was the highest recruited guy. I don't believe he was one of the higher drafted guys. He might have been an undrafted free agent as well. So like I said, it's very, very tough to get into the door, to get in the room as a short wide receiver. Because you know how many 6'4", 6'3", 6'2" guys there are across the country. Just go, if you don't live in the South, just go to the South. They're built different out there. So if you're that guy who's 5'9", 5'10", like you really have to do things that are going to separate you from those guys, because those guys are interchangeable. Every single year you look at all the top wide receiver who recruits, they all pass the eye test. They're all fast. So if I'm a shorter guy, I got to make sure I have my speed locked down. I got to make sure, I have some size to me, right? I can't be rail skinny, but I got to know how to run routes. So this is another example of this. So let's watch Scotty Miller run this route. He's doing a stop route, but he gives like this kind of like tempo change to it. So he changes tempo, then he accelerates and puts the brakes on. Now, rather than him just running the route and just coming off the ball and just, giving him a jab, running the route, then putting the brakes on, he gives that little tempo change. Because what does that look like? That looks like a tempo change or a stutter go. It looks like a hesitation fade. So that's what we have to do when I'm trying to sell my routes. Again, it's all about deception, fellas. Especially as a shorter guy, you're playing mind games with the DB. You're trying to make him think I'm doing one thing and then I do another. And that's as simple as it gets. And this goes for taller guys as well too. But when he comes off the liner, he doesn't just give a move and go run the route. He's creative. Shorter guys have to be creative with their routes, because when you can be creative, that will help you stand out. So again, he comes up here, gives this little tempo change, and now what does it look like? It's a fade. He's got good pad level. He's got good stride. He's committed. He's running hard. All of those things that are going to help us sell vertical. Stuff that we talk about day one with these videos. Now, this is how you use your speed to your advantage. Because again, a bigger DB, more physical linebacker, physical safety who's walked down and pressed, one thing he is threatened by, because we should have him on the speed advantage, is our speed. So if we know how to use it, we know how to use speed to my advantage on my routes, that can get me a ton of separation. So he gives this little tempo change, he accelerates, makes it look like a fade, then at the last second, he puts the brakes on, swats him by, and gets that separation to win on this route. He's not just running the route and trying to hand fight. As you can see, he's focused on selling the route. He's focused on trying to threaten him with his speed, not trying to be super physical. That's not our game as a shorter guy. Now, what's another way you could do this? Another way you could do this is like, let's say, for example, Scotty Miller had to run a slant. You would want to attack his outside shoulder, outside hip with your speed. You'd want to go hard. You'd want to run in full stride. You'd want to commit your hips and your shoulders. Because again, that threatens him on the fade. It's all about being a salesman. Let's know how to structure my routes. Let's know how to read defenses to be able to have that high football IQ. But also, fellas, you got to use that speed to your advantage that we talked about building on. You got to play the game differently as a shorter wide receiver. That is the only way that you can be successful. Blazing speed, high football IQ, and let's play the game differently. Let's be creative, okay? Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Then we're going to talk about one more thing that all shorter wide receivers need to emphasize. Now, this is a clip here from Julian Edelman training in the offseason. Now, he has got a tennis ball in his hand, and he's got a trainer behind him bouncing a tennis ball off the wall, and he is just working on hand-eye coordination. Now, this might seem like a pretty simple drill. It might seem like, why are we even talking about this? This really isn't anything complicated. But this drill just goes to show what shorter guys have to love, and that's the lonely work. Listen, you get like we were saying, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers all across the country, you guys. And, they take stuff for granted. And not all of them, because I've met a lot of tall guys who work hard, and usually the top tier guys, the 5-star guys, the guys who are getting recruited, anybody who's going to play Power 5 ball, usually have this type of attitude and approach. But like as a shorter dude, man, you got to work so much harder than the next guy. Like there should be no excuse to not be the hardest worker in the room. If you're a short wide receiver, short quarterback, anything short, and you go to school and you're in the gym, you're on the field, and there's somebody outworking you, there is no excuse. You're just flat out accepting the fact that they are outworking you. There's no excuse. Try to give me an excuse. There isn't one. You know when you're being outworked. You know when you're not doing everything that you can possible. And this is a perfect example of the detail work. Do you really think like the 6'4" guy who's got huge hands, who could just head top everybody with his routes, and when the ball's thrown to him, you think he's doing this stuff? Probably not. But you know who is the guy who needs this extra work to make sure that they're on point. Because as a shorter guy, when you get thrown in there and you get your opportunity, you are never dropping a pass. You should never drop a pass, because they're just looking for a reason when you're a short guy. They're looking for a reason to pull you out because you don't look the part. Maybe you're fast, great, but We got plenty of guys who are fast. We got tall guys who are fast. Why should we play you? And we should play you because you have good football IQ, you know how to run routes, and you will catch every pass because you've done the detail work. We get a million questions. Coach, how do I improve my hands? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'll give them drills, but it's on you to do the drills over and over again. It's on you to rep the drills out. Because if you don't rep the drills, you don't do the lonely work, you don't go out there by yourself for hours and just do the boring stuff, you're never going to get better. And as a shorter guy, if you take anything for granted and you're not doing everything possible you can, you won't be successful. So that's why I want to show this, fellas, because even guys at the top of the level, Super Bowl rings, playing in the NFL, they're still doing this stuff because they have to do this in order to compete. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out and train with us, we are coming out to 12 different states across the country this year for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver camps. So check out that very first link in the description below if you'd like some more information on that. I'll see you guys next time.